Hello, everyone. My guest today is Jesse Leimgruber. He is the founder of a company called NeoReach. He's a mentor to the Alchemist Accelerator, a Thiel Fellow, and a frequent guest lecturer at Stanford and USC. NeoReach has generated tens of millions in revenue from customers like Walmart, Amazon, and NBC. Jesse, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, kick your video back on because we'll use both audio and video feeds when we publish this thing. We'll deal with the delays. It'll be okay. But tell us about the company. What's NeoReach do and how do you make money?
Yes, so NeoReach is an end-to-end social intelligence platform. Brands pay us a licensing fee to analyze the performance of their sponsored post campaigns, everything from paying Tiger Woods to wear a Nike hat to Red Bull sponsoring athletes. To YouTubers, promoting a product, we measure the effectiveness of those endorsements, and we sell that data to large brands and Fortune 500s. Interesting. And give me a general idea. I'm sure you have a lot of different customer cohorts, but we're short on time. On average, what do one of these customers pay you per year for your technology? We typically, the minimum licensing fee for a brand is about $25,000 annually, okay. And we have quite a few, as in more than a handful of brands spending over $1 million with us annually.
That's great. I mean, so would you say maybe $100,000 or $150,000 is more of a fair average?
Yeah, I would say at least half of our customers are spending over $50K a month.
Okay, fair enough.
It definitely skews.
Wait, $50K a month or a year?
Sorry, $50K a year. $50K a year. I think our average revenue per customer is around $200,000 a year.
That's great. Very good. So I want to dive more into the story. You've clearly kind of jumped into an enterprise model here. We had Sprinkler on. Raji gave a great interview, and Hootsuite is obviously other end of the spectrum. And attribution is tricky in social in general. So put this all on a timeline for us. When did you launch the company? What year?
We launched it in early 2014, and probably we launched the company then. Probably the first year, I don't think we had any customers and nothing significant. 2015 was really when we launched our product in a sort of beta, and then towards the end of 2015, it took its current form. And so 2016, 2017, and this year have really been the primary product. But it's really about 2.5, 3 years into live revenue, live customers, but the business is a bit older than that.
That's great. So, and then how have you scaled, right? So from 2015 to today, how many customers are you working with now?
It's not as big as some companies by number.
It's enterprise, by the way. So I'm expecting like a dozen maybe.
Yeah, we just passed 100 total customers.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's You were hedging there. Why were you hedging so hard?
Well, everyone, does SaaS businesses like, we have, 35,000 customers, but it's like $5 a month or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a freemium model, but your model, you can have 100 and build a great business.
Yeah, we just passed 100. I think we're at 102, 103, something like that.
Congrats, That's great. Well, look, I mean, 100 at that $200,000 kind of average per year puts you at like 1.6 million a month, something like that. Is that accurate?
Not quite, but pretty close.
Okay, and can you help me understand growth rates? So you doubling year over year? Where were you exactly a year ago?
I like to think of the way to scale a SaaS business as, if you want to IPO, you need to triple, double over 5 years. So 3x revenue, 3x revenue, 3x revenue, and double. And then you're currently, that's the pace that will get you to an IPO-able number. We're about that. So we're in between 2 and 3x a year growth rate right now.
Yeah, so that would have put you at around maybe call it $600,000 a month about a year ago. At healthy grow. You added a 3x in there. Usually it's 3x, 2. What changed your thesis?
Oh yeah, well we started with such small numbers, so I figured we need to pick it up somewhere.
Fair enough. Very good. All right, break down some of the kind of economics around this, right? So I'm really curious about your first customer. Did you start enterprise and then stay there, or did you start smaller and then scale up? Tell us the story how you got your first customer.
Yeah, first customer. So the product was didn't work probably, and it was really buggy, and we needed a customer that would sort of believe in it. So what we did is we actually outreached to maybe 200 or 300 customers on LinkedIn, and we didn't pitch them. We asked them for feedback on what we were building. So we
How'd you find them? What'd you search for? What terms?
CMO.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we emailed about 200 or 300 CMOs. I remember sending the emails. We wrote custom emails.
Email or LinkedIn messages?
We went to the same school. LinkedIn mostly, and we did some email too. Yeah. And we had a couple, tiny startups that maybe spent $1,000, but the first real customer we got was Zappos. The CMO of Zappos actually responded himself, introduced us to his ad agency, who introduced us to someone else at Zappos, and they signed up for, I think it was a small deal at the time, $5,000 for a year license, but it was meaningful to get Zappos, and they were our first recognizable brand.
That's great. Now, talk to me about the rest of the company today. How many people are you total?
Oh, total, just over 30.
Just over 30. That's great. Everyone in San Fran, or you guys spread out?
We are spread out. We have an engineering office in Orlando. We have a sales and marketing office in Austin. And then we've got the executive and a lot of other employees in the Bay Area.
Okay, very good. So 30 folks kind of spread out. And then help me understand today, right? Churn is critical in any SaaS company. I'm expecting you probably have pretty significant expansion revenue based off the size of some of these accounts. What's your kind of gross revenue churn per year? And does your expansion cover that?
We have high churn compared to certainly, a business that's super deeply integrated. The downside of our business is, it's a software. It's not a it's not like tied into the infrastructural stack of their company. It's not like AWS or something like that. So relative to some businesses, we have high churn. But over the last year, we've actually been pivoting a lot of customers to our API product, where it is actually tied deeply in.
What's high though, Jesse? I mean, do you know about revenue churn? Are you talking like 10% a year?
It's a little higher than 10% a year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, by the way, like, you're pivoting to an API model, tied to a usage pricing axis, which probably makes it way stickier. So this is a fun transition to make. So a little higher than 10%. Does your expansion make up for the 15% you lose?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. It's closer to 20% of customers churn, but we grow at a significantly higher rate than that. And the ones that stick kind of really expand. The ones that tend to churn tend to be the $25,000 a month the $25,000 a year customers. They tend to not be deeply integrated. And the primary reason they churn isn't usually a product problem on NeoReach. It's more or less marketing software. The campaign stopped. Particular niches of marketing, and they just can't justify it relative to their overall budget. Like celebrity endorsements and influencer marketing isn't working for them. Not really as much our software.
Yeah, or Jesse, it's campaign driven, right? A campaign starts and stops.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So even though our business is SaaS, a lot of businesses will buy it it's a 1-year license, but they've just launched the company or they just launched a new division and they don't need it after that. So that's something we deal with. And it's really just about picking better customers, picking better, getting API customers, larger deals, multi-year deals, that sort of thing.
What does expansion look like? So you said 20% churn. What's expansion on that same cohort look like?
So customers that expand, there's this tiny segment of customers that expands like significantly, that drives most of our growth. So, to put that into actual numbers, we've had quite a few customers start at under $100,000 a year with us and actually expand to over $1 million a year. And those types of customers, this tiny niche that scales massively, drives almost all of our growth.
Yeah. Okay. But so that's those are obviously outliers. You only need a few of those to really drive growth. But if you look at the cohort that signed up exactly 1 year ago, so December 2017, today you're going to say basically 20% of that revenue is lost. That same cohort that signed up, how much does that cohort altogether in aggregate expand by?
About 30 or 40%.
Okay, good. So net revenue retention is about 120%.
Yeah, that's right.
That's obviously really healthy economics, right? So talk to me about how you get these guys in the door in the first place. So when you look at your fully weighted CAC, how aggressive are you being?
We have difficult time doing marketing attribution because of the scale of our leads and because of the length of the leads.
Jesse, you can't say you have trouble with attribution. That's your business.
I know. It's really bad. We joke about that all the time. Almost 100% of our leads are inbound, right? But we get over 1,000 inbound leads a month. What really ends up happening is, a salesperson flies out, we meet with them, we see them at a conference again, we work with them for a year, and then they sign $1 million deal with us.
Yep.
And so it's kind of challenging to attribute like this particular retargeting ad or this particular click. If we do it on sort of cost per lead basis, we have channels that will spend between $50 and $500 a lead. But our close rate's under 1%.
Jesse, let me ask this differently. To get a new $200,000 account, are you willing to spend up to first year ACV to get it?
We spend on sort of our typical. If you take out outliers, we're spending about 40% of first year customer value.
So you still have like a 5-month payback period. That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay, talk to me about how you've capitalized the business. You mentioned Theo Fellow. I think there's capital involved there. How much have you raised to date?
We've raised $4 million
Okay.
across about 2 rounds.
$4 million. That's great. Well, look, I love companies where the ARR to raised ratio is in favor of the ARR. So it sounds like, again, if you're, call it 1.5-ish right now per month, obviously that puts you at a great run rate of like, I think 20 per year. So that's a nice ratio. Are you looking at raising? Go ahead. You were going to add something?
Yeah. I mean, we would look to raise again, but we're profitable, and you're about right. We're shooting for next year. We're projecting to be over 20 million.
That's great. Sorry. Do you mind? Can you share where you're at actually now so we can understand how aggressive you're trying to be?
You're in the ballpark.
Okay.
I don't want to share.
Well, I mean, but that is 20, right? So like right now, what I just said, 1.6 million a month is 20 million. You're saying you're not there. That's your goal next year. Are you at like 1.1-ish or 1.2-ish now? Like how aggressive are you trying to be with bookings growth?
Yeah, we're more than double next year, and more than double for us is going to be about 25 million is what we're projecting.
Okay, got it. So I can basically take 25 million, divide by 2, and that's kind of your run right now. I won't push you further because that basically is the answer, right? Talk to me. Peter Thiel got a lot of pushback for the fellowship program. I've interviewed several of the folks that have gone through it. They say wonderful things. What's your take?
I love the Thiel Fellowship. I mean, Peter isn't like super closely involved. Granted, I've been quite a number of times. I mean, really, the Thiel Fellowship is about the community of other entrepreneurs. I mean, in terms of businesses, my business is reasonably successful. It's profitable, a lot of employees, millions in revenue. But I'd say on the stack of other Thiel Fellows, I'm like way down the list. I mean, we've got like people like Vitalik, who founded Ethereum, the founder of Oyo Rooms. I mean, there's quite a few $100 million and billion-dollar companies in the batch now, and it's a really tight cohort. So to have that community it's the strongest network I have for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Very good. So, I mean, you're profitable today, right? You only raised $4 million. Where are you, if cash is kind of just building up in the bank, you obviously want to deploy that to either drive the company or pay it out to employees as kind of distributions. I mean, how do you think about what to do with all your profits?
That's a good question. It's something we think about all the time. We're constantly in this battle of increased profitability or increased scale. Right. If we invest all of our cash back into the business, does that make us more profitable 5 years from now? And it's an unanswered question, and we're trying to balance it right now. We're looking at potentially scaling up aggressively, not in terms of fundraising, but actually deploying. We could double headcount and we could afford it.
Yeah.
But we're just not sure if that actually is going to yield more revenue. And so that's this year's big focus is what's the next 5 years look like.
All right, Jesse, let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book is got to be the Lean Startup or 0 to 1.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now? Preferably not like a mainstream one.
Ooh, a CEO I'm studying or following right now, not a mainstream one. I don't think there's one CEO I'm particularly following right now, no.
Number 3, what billing tool do you guys use?
What, sorry?
Billing tool?
Bill.com.
Bill.com?
Yeah, or Stripe, depending on the category of customers.
Yeah. Stripe for smaller, Bill for bigger?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I really value sleep, so I budget for 9 and end up getting almost over 8 almost every night.
That's awesome. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I live with my girlfriend of 4 years in San Francisco.
Any kids yet? No? No
kids, but at some point.
That's great. And how old are you?
I am 24.
24. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
20-year-old self, I didn't realize how deep startups would go. I mean, it's crazy, the kind of the where effed it's over moments and the roller coaster. I mean, I probably would have took a few more years to learn and reflect on what I really want to do before jumping into it. I don't regret it, but I thought it was going to be unicorns and rainbows the whole time.
Guys, make sure you have time to learn. Coming from Jesse at NeoReach, just past 100 customers, about $1 million per month in revenue, call it 12 million a year, hoping to double year over year to 25 next year. Growth was about between 2 and 3x year over year over the trailing 12 months. So healthy business, profitable, 4 million raised, 30 people between Orlando, Austin, remote locations, 20% gross revenue churn annually, 40% expansion on the same cohort. So call it 120% net revenue expansion, spending up to call it 5 months of lifetime value to acquire customers. They might use profits to get more aggressive with that over the next 12 months as they look to double. We'll see what happens. Again, attribution for influencer marketing.
Wow, we've got like the craziest, all the numbers out.
You like that, Jesse? Am I hired?
I know. I mean, this is the numbers we need to get out of our sales teams.
All right, Jesse, thanks for taking us to the top.
Talk to you soon.